In this video, learn how and why your trades are not yet professional if missing this. This might be what is holding you back from reaching the next level as a trader. Hi, I'm Mike Bellafiore, co-founder of SMB Capital, and we're a proprietary trading firm located in Midtown Manhattan. And I'm also the author of the trading classic, One Good Trade, and the playbook. In this video, we teach a developing trader during an in-depth trade review what he was missing in his trades to make them professional. Leaving them out is the difference between trading with edge and not yet professional trading. Let's get to work on sharing this important trading lesson so you can grow your trading account.
My name is Dan DeGangi. I'm a junior intern, and I'm presenting my third day continuation for Moderna. So just to get a pretty bigger picture for SPY, we are gapping down and coming off its fifth red day off its highs, along with Qs. And we are gapping down, this was back in July, on coronavirus Delta variant cases rising. So this added to my long bias for Moderna, as they are one of the largest companies that produce vaccines across the world. So here are some statistics for Moderna. One thing I do want to point out is that it has a 54% institutional ownership, as this is something that is in my playbook. I like to trade the high beta stocks. I like to trade stocks that have high institutional ownership, as that is what makes sense to me. And then we have our day range and our ATR. And one thing I do want to point out is we have a 3.58 R-vol. So R-vol was definitely elevated on the day of the trade.
Anytime I hear somebody talk about Moderna, I think about the last office that we were in before COVID hit. So we were at a different address, and we obviously we're in a new office now and have been for a little bit. But there was where we were in our old office, there were a bunch of smaller investment firms on the same floor as us. And this one guy I would talk to quite a bit. We'd run into each other going to the bathroom or just walking around the halls in the common areas. Super great guy. And you know, one of those guys that you run into who you immediately form a connection with. But what's funny is that he was in finance and I was in finance, and I'm pretty sure he didn't really know what I did, and I'm certainly sure that I didn't really know what he did for like years. And then when COVID really almost just started, before people even knew it was a thing, I would run into this guy, and I think he finally did find out what we actually did, and he kept asking me, "Are you buying Moderna? Are you buying Moderna?" You know, before this became one of the leading drugs that people were taking, before it was even known to be effective. And I remember it pulling in after having a huge run up into the 20s, and talking to him in the halls, and him saying, "I bought more Moderna. This thing's going through the roof. Are you guys buying more Moderna?" And every time somebody talks about this stock, I just think how rich that guy must be, because he was pounding the table. I mean, just a guy that I think he had as much Moderna as Spencer has Tesla. I mean, he was just pounding the table on this Moderna, and you know, obviously his firm was really buying up a ton of it. And you know, he was in from the teens and was buying more in the 20s, and this was his big play. I mean, he couldn't have been more right about it. So I both smile knowing that he's doing really, really well. And I just remember, you know, there's people out there that really get stuff right. And he certainly did. All right, so, and this is, you know, and in finishing the circle, I mean, this is obviously one of the highly effective COVID vaccines that you can take, and, you know, real leader in the market. So good to be pointing that out like you did.
Cool, thank you. So let's move on here. So this is the day one of what pushed Moderna after hours, was the S&P edition. It was announced, and this pushed it from 260 to 282.45 in the after hours session.
Now, Dan, are you a junior intern now?
I'm going to be doing my senior intern. I just finished up my junior internship.
Okay, so do you consider yourself a junior intern or a senior intern now?
I would now consider myself a senior intern.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, I'll be back in the summer with you guys in the New York City office again. So I'm really excited for that.
All right, great. And so you consider this sort of the end of your junior internship. You're back at school and doing a little bit more playbooking. And working on that.
Yeah, so this is the kind of wrapping up my junior internship and then getting excited for the summer internship where I'm going to be my senior. But here we go with the day one of the S&P edition.
Wait. Let's talk more about you. So
Okay.
You interned during the summer.
Yep.
And obviously you were offered a senior internship. Is that correct?
Yes, I was for next summer.
All right, good. And so, so a good example here to just give the context for people. Dan went through a junior internship. This is sort of the tail end of his junior internship. Did a really nice job and has now been offered a chance to be a senior intern, and will come back next summer and do some more advanced work with us at the firm and go from there. And so we talk about this a lot, where to get hired on the desk, you intern with us twice. You start as a junior intern, like Dan did. And then if you do really well and you stand out, then some of the junior interns get invited to be senior interns. And then if you do a good job as a senior intern, hopefully you stand out and get invited to be a trader on the desk, a new trader on the desk. And so that is the development process for most of the traders.
Cool. And then just to kind of, circle off of that, Mike, I just want to give you a little bit of testimonials. This summer has been such a learning experience for me, especially being in the new office, meeting with all the other interns, senior and junior, along with talking with some of the senior traders, such as Max and Dan G. And that's just been a crazy experience, and learning from them has been absolutely valuable for me.
Well, we enjoyed having you.
Thank you.
Now that you've buttered me up, that doesn't mean at all that this is going to go well for you, this presentation. But,
it does not, but I do hope it does.
In me doing my job, I've got to give you the critical feedback. But I appreciate those comments.
Thank you. All right, so this was the day one of the S&P edition for Moderna. This really pushed it after hours, and what I believe caught a lot of people's eyes. This was all over Twitter, it was all over the news, and it was as you said before, during COVID and pushing into the summer, a lot of people were watching this stock. So moving on to the next slide here. This is on the day two. After the S&P edition on open, we flushed down to 271.50, and we're immediately bid back up. And then from there, we spent the majority of the day on VWAP and consolidated. This was also, one thing I want to point out, the highest volume days since the prior earnings date. And we've done over 41 million volume, yet we were range bound and consolidating. So kind of this is what the chart looked like for that. So extremely elevated volume, especially on open and then into the close, kind of dancing around VWAP, that 280 level. And then as we push into the 4 o'clock area, push into 287.50, overview up into the close.
If you want to learn 3 more real-world setups that our traders use, including the simple setup that we teach all of our new traders, and the setup that turned one of our traders into a 7-figure big money earner, check out the free webinar that we're currently running. Just go ahead and click the link that should be appearing now at the top right-hand corner of your screen. That will open up the free registration page in a new window, so don't worry, you won't lose this video. You can also visit tradingworkshop.com to register for this free intensive workshop. You're going to learn more in a couple of hours from this trading workshop than from years of online education.
So this is my execution plan for the third day. I was going to be taking the opening drive on this, risking pre-market lows. I was going to also be utilizing VWAP to re-enter on any pullbacks I saw. And as we were gapping down, SPY and Qs and the overall market was in play. So I did want to pay attention to ADD and tick, as they can give me a general direction of what the breadth is in the marketplace. So here's that third day breakdown. Right on open, we pushed from 282.50s to 306, putting in an 8% move very quickly. And then by 11 o'clock, we pulled back to VWAP and then trended higher the rest of the day. So this is what that chart looked like. So as you can see here, we have that immediately opening drive, pulled back into VWAP around 11 o'clock and trended higher into the low 300s, 328 range. Just a little bit more of a zoomed in on the 5-minute chart to kind of show you where that VWAP pullback was and how we trended higher the rest of the day. So now here are my potential reasons to sell. So I was risking the low of day break on this along with the pre-market lows. And I do want to make sure that I'm seeing continued buying. So if I see any of the bidders drop out or any of the direction change, I immediately want to hit out and as the trade has been invalidated. So just here are my executions. So I took the opening drive and immediately took some off into strength. And then I rebid back in when we touched the 290 area at VWAP and immediately sold once we pushed into strength on this. And then around that 10 a.m., I was still bidding in more at that pullback until the 296 range. And then I was out all of my size by 302 on the 3rd minute off of that. But this is something I do want to work on is my executions, as this was around the, I would say, middle of my junior internship. So I was still learning how to scale and how to get in and out of positions on the new platform. Also learning and strengthening my tape reading skills.
Okay, good. So I got to stop you right here. We got to stop. And I do appreciate the fact that you are a junior intern. If you were a trader on our desk trading firm capital, this conversation would be a lot harsher. But it's totally okay as a junior trader that there's some things that we need to talk about. And there was a great video that was shared with me today by one of our senior traders called Not Yet, which I shared with the firm. I put it up on Twitter for you guys to go take a look at. Hopefully we'll put a link into this video and share that with you as well. And it's just the idea of the way that you thought through this trade is not comprehensive enough. It's not yet. Not yet is it comprehensive enough. You're doing some things here that are right, but if you were to do this with firm capital, we'd give you a hard time. So this trade is not yet ready for prime time. This is not yet ready for your playbook. You have not yet given us enough variables to take this trade. Not yet. And that's fine. That's fine. You're trying to get better. We're all trying to get better here. And what we need to do is you did a good job with your stock selection. You did a good job looking for a couple of different trades. You're right to be looking for an opening drive trade. You're right to be looking for a pullback trade. You did that right. You did a good job thinking through your executions on the exit side as well. Excuse me. But there are things that you're missing which we have to go over. Not yet is this a trade that we would say has edge on the desk. Not yet. And so, and that's important. We don't want to be sitting here criticizing you and thinking that you're not going to get better from here. You're going to get a lot better. You're going to get a lot better. Can you please, Dan, go back to the day 2 consolidation, and we're going to give you some help as to how you really make this trade. So the key for this trade, what turns this from not yet being a playbook trade, not yet being a professional trade with edge, is you have to look at that day 2 consolidation. You have to look at that day 2 consolidation. You did a very good job recognizing that day 2 consolidation is significant. You did an excellent job recognizing that day 2 consolidation was important because it had elevated volume. That's excellent work. But what you have to do is you have to combine the price from day 2 or the prices from day 2 that are super important and that in of themselves give you a signal to enter. There's got to be prices, there's got to be some catalyst. So the catalyst usually when you see a day 2 consolidation are prices. It doesn't always have to be, but it's usually prices. What are the prices when I look back at day 2 where I have to be long? Just based on price, watching the price action on day 2, there are longs. If it gets above this price, it's a buy signal, I've got to be in. I have edge. I've watched it on day 2. If it gets above this price, I have edge if it gets above this price when I get long to take the trade. It gives me edge. If it pulls in to support from day 2 and I buy it, I have edge by watching it on day 2 consolidating. And when you make that opening drive play on day 3, it's got to match the price from the day 2 consolidation. So you've got to be asking yourself, if this gets above a certain price, then it becomes a buy. And that doesn't have to necessarily be the top in day 2. You don't necessarily, it can be another price, but by watching it, you should be able to say to yourself, if it gets above this price, it's go time. It's go time. I now have edge based on my observation on day 2. And a lot of times we make a lot of money by sitting in our seat and watching and observing markets, and then sit in our seat the next day and the trade hits us right between the eyes. We pull the trigger, we make money, we think we're a genius. But really it was our observation sitting in our seat that made us this money. And so you've got to be able to go to this day 2 consolidation and say, where must I be long? And then on day 3, when that signal hits, take it. So an obvious signal would be the high from day 2. If it gets above a price it could not get above on day 2, it is a buy because of the elevated volume, because of how strongly it traded. It's now a buy, it's now an opening drive to the upside above that level. That's a buy. Couldn't get above this level, couldn't get above this level, couldn't get above this level, did on elevated volume, day 2, consolidation, finished at the high, go time. That's edge. Or pulls into support, which it couldn't trade below on day 2, couldn't trade below on day 2, pulls in there on light volume. You soak it up on day 3 and play it for a continuation move. Those are the 2 most likely buy signals on day 3 based on your observation from this day 2 consolidation. Okay, so you have to match your opening drive price with the day 2 consolidation price that gives you edge. And you have to mention that. You kind of did that, but you didn't know why you did it. And it was kind of close to it, but not quite close to it if you actually look at the charts. But that is a trade with edge. You've got to put that in your variables for the trade. And you got to know you're making the trade because of that. And then the other thing is, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. For your pull-in trade, there's one thing you absolutely have to add that makes a breakout trade on day 3 or day 2. In this case, day 3, after watching day 2 consolidation, there is a critical ingredient to making that trade work when you buy the pull-in trade, and that is arval and volume on the break. You have to select properly and take, for the most part, only the trades that have elevated arval and volume on day 3 into the breakout. That is what makes really good breakout trades. And again, you got to be specific about those variables, and if you're not, the trade's not yet a professional trade with edge. Okay, so you did a lot of things right. When you add them, you're going to find a lot more success. Does that make sense?
But no, I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for that feedback. So on to my trade review. I'm continuing to learn how to develop my opening drive. As you said before, finding those prices at where I need to be long. And as you said, it was either from the highs or from the pullback. I need to find those prices and understand where I need to pull the trigger. So I also learned to not fight the trend on such a big name like this, as there were a lot of people watching it, and the overall direction after was to the upside. So I took some small paper cuts trying to shorting it, and this was completely unneeded and went against my entire idea for the trade. So working on that, and then just some stuff on how to do, how could I have done this trade better? Holding a larger part of my core for the majority of the move, and then also scaling out instead of just immediately buying back and selling out all of my size. This is something I worked on for the month of August, as this trade was in July. Over the month of August, I spent time learning more of an execution style that makes sense to me. So taking off pieces instead of just dumping all of my shares either in or out. And then to trade this differently, I would have taken the opening drive and pieced off half into the first big move, and then added on any pullbacks. So at 11 o'clock, there was a perfect spot to add at VWAP that also aligned with the 15 EMA. So I have the next slide here is where I can show you that. So at 11 o'clock, we hit that perfect pullback that this is a spot of where I should have added, and should have been either piecing out into the highs or look to hold a core into the close. But overall, this was my during trade.
Good, good. I like how you went back and pinpointed specifically where you could have added. That's excellent. Hey, Dan, can you go back to your reasons to sell? One of the reasons to sell I would think about adding for you is a target. So you want to play around with, hey, what's the next longer term resistance area? Let me take a look at ATR for a particular stock and build a target off of that.
Yeah. One thing that I have been working with some of my senior interns that have helped me throughout the internship, more or less into August and the end of August, as we were kind of heading out, going back to school, is having targets into percentages of ATR. And that has been something I've been working on in August, and it's helped me.
Spot on. That's exactly what I mean. And then one more thing. Can you please tee up that second day consolidation again?
Yeah.
So one of the things for you to think about with some of the other senior interns, or even maybe some of the junior interns that you work with during the summer, is can you build filters that provide for scans that tee up day 3 trades based on the elevated volume on day 2 and how it finishes into the close. So can you build filters that say, if a stock was up X% and a stock had elevated volume defined by 1, 2, 3, and that stock finished in the top 20% of its range, can I create a scan that gives me the stocks that have done that in day 2s and consolidated, so that I can, instead of doing this manually, which I think you did, I can just find scans that will show me all the stocks like that. And that might be something you want to look at night to tee up more good ideas like this for day 3.
Yeah, no, it's actually pretty funny you say that. I was actually talking to Kyle yesterday, and he was helping me with exactly you were saying, creating market views and scans for this type of setup.
Okay, good. I'm gonna be quiet now and let you guys do your thing.
All right, cool. Thank you. But let me go back to that. Just kind of wrapping up, this is my overall trade and how I could have improved on it. There's definitely room for improvement. And as I move into my senior internship, I want to spend a lot of time mastering my execution style and what makes sense to me.
Hey, go ahead and click our subscribe button so you don't miss any of the videos that we're producing for you in the trading community. And please take the time to add your feedback in the comments section for what videos you'd like for us to produce next and what you found helpful from this video. From all of us at S&B, train and trade well.